Hi there, Abhik here. This is episode 2 of video series NextJS and Tests. Throughout this episode, I will create homepage and this development of homepage will be test driven. So the first thing I will do right now is I will go to the root of the project and I will create a folder which will have a name of _tests then _. Why this folder? So inside this folder we will be having all the tests related to the pages. So for example, if I test index.js, then I will have a file named index.test.jsx inside the tests folder, right? So why this index.test.jsx? I personally experienced that if I write js instead of jsx, I was facing a lot of errors. So when we are creating this index page, we will be using a test-driven development approach, which is TDD. Now, for a successful test-driven development approach or TDD approach, we need to have a clear idea of what we are going to build. So for that, I have already have a rough outline of our index page. So this pink box right here will be the search box where we can search for our products. This blue box will be category list, so all the categories will be listed along with one products of each category, right? And I will come back to that later. And the orange box will be all products which will be listed one by one. And about this blue box, so each of the category will have all the categories will be listed in the blue box, and each category will be having a category name, which is this white box. Green will be one product of that category, and in the black box we will be having view all products of this category and the name of the category right there, like that, right? So now that we have a clear idea of what we are going to build, let's go back to our base code. Now inside the index.test.jsx, what I will do is I'll first import React and I will write my first test. Now for writing the first test, we also need to import some more things, such as we want to write this test for this home component, right? So for that I need to import that as well. So I will import home from pages, right? Also one more thing that we need is we need to import render and screen initially from testing library. We will write a first test block or test suite. Describe. Inside this describe, I will write the name of this test suite, which is home page, and then I will create a function, arrow function, and inside this arrow function I can create as many tests as I want. So I will write my first test, and all the tests related to the home page will be grouped under this describe block, right? Now inside this first test will be such as let's say we will render a heading, all products heading. Let's write the test first and then we will write the code to pass the test. We need to render our home component first, then only we can write the test. So we will render our home component. I will try to get by role. I will try to get a heading. So get by role helps us in getting a heading, such as inside this index page we have a main, we have a footer. So if we get by role, we can get by role a main, and I will give it a name of all products, and this is a regex pattern using all products. Now let me explain this once again. Here inside this describe block we will have all the tests related to home page, and we can have each test separated using this each or test block, right? We can write test instead of it, both are same, right? And here we will have a header, heading, and then we will render our component first, then we will start querying. Now there are three types of querying: get by, query by, find by. Now you can learn more about those querying techniques on this documentation page. Now this screen.getByRole means we get a HTML element whose role is heading. Now heading is h1, h2, h3 like those, and the text content of that heading is all products. Now when we are using get by, then that means if it returns an error, then there is no such element, such as there is no heading with a text of all products. Okay, and if our test passes, that means that there is a heading whose text content is all products. It means our home component renders a all products heading. Okay, so initially the test will fail, but how to run a test? So to run a test, I will open up my integrated terminal, then I will run my test. So I will run my npm run test, and then I will press enter. So if you are doing this for the first time, it will take some time. So as you can see, the test failed. Why? Because the screen.getByRole heading. And if you check here, you can see the unable to find an accessible element with the role heading and the name all products. Here are the accessible roles. So we have a role of main. As I said earlier, we have a main. So it will show a main and a footer. It does not have anything else other than that. So let's write our first heading over here to make our tests pass. So inside this main, I will write h2. Inside that, I will write all products. And as soon as I save and open up my terminal, the test automatically runs. And now the test should pass. And you can see that the tests have already passed. And you can see here we have a tick mark, render all products heading, and one passed. One is total. Now what I will do is I will open another terminal. I will run npm run dev. Open up my browser window, and there I will write localhost 3000. I guess it will take some time, and then it will start opening. In the meantime, what we can do is we can write another test. So what that test will be? It will render a accessible input. We are using this for a search box, right? And I guess accessible search box will be a better option. So what I will do is I will render home once again. And this is the initial step. We need to render our component first. For each test, we need to render our component first, and then we need to write our test. So then what I will write is I will create a constant variable of search input, and there we will get screen.getByRole. Now what role we are going to get this time? Not a input. We don't have a role of input. We will get a role of search box. Then once we are getting that, expect search input to have an accessible name. And what will be that accessible name? Search. So what this test does, once again I will explain it. It renders our home component, then it gets by a role of search box, and we store that HTML element which screen gets by role of search box. We store it inside search input variable, and after we store it in search input variable, we assert that this search input element should also have an accessible name of search. And if I open up my terminal, and this test has failed because there is no search box, right? Unable to find accessible element with role of search box. So we will create that. Inside this index.js, I will actually create an input. This input will be above everything. If you remember the picture, this search box was above everything. So we will have this search box, and I will create an input which will have a role of search box. Now if we don't give this role of search box, then we won't get it here. Understand? So after we give it a role of search box, now I will give it a type of text, and after I give it a type of text, I will also give it a title of search. Now why this title of search? If we don't give it a title of search, then we will not have an accessible name of search. And after I give it a title of search, I will also give it a placeholder text, say search products, like that. And this time the test should pass, and it runs our tests, and it has passed, and it is passing. You can see that one passed, one total, two passed, two total. So this test suite is one, which is our index.describe homepage, and two tests inside that. So both of them has passed. And if I go to my browser window now, and you can see that we have a search element with search products, right? I hope till now everything is clear. Now I will explain you what tests we can write now based on our rough outline I showed earlier. So inside this rough outline of the index page, I showed you that we will have a search box, and I have created the test for that. Now I will create tests for these categories and for these all products. Now before writing the tests, actually what I will do is I will just write the headings of these tests, like renders all products, and it also renders all categories. So you have to understand that we don't need to test the implementation details. What are the implementation details? Like if I have a use state here, if I store this input, whatever value of input is user has inputted inside a use state, we don't need to do all those. We just need to test what a user will see. So user will see the products, user will see the categories, user will also see that we will render one product per category, right? And we will also test the search box, such as it shows search item only when search item is not empty. Show search results instead of all products and all categories when the search item is not empty. Like that, we will write more tests once we start progressing with our tests. So this is the test-driven development mindset. You need to understand that we should be testing when user inputs something in search box, he should see search results. This is the type of testing we should be doing, and we should not test how the details of how we handle user input and output results using use state, use effect, or whatever we use. We should not test the details of how we handle the stuff. We should test what the user will see. I will save this file, and it will have zero impact on our tests because we have commented those out. I will actually first get the products before writing any more tests. I want to create the products. So for that, I will write as export async function get static props. There I will pass the context. From here I will actually have now remember I created commerce earlier in this previous episode, and we will be using that commerce here. So I will use the commerce.products.list, and I will also rename this data as products. These products will be categories, as you can see, and then I will actually return those. Inside these props I will have products and categories. Also I will have revalidate, which will be 30 seconds. So after every 30 seconds this page will be rebuilt. Now there is a problem that how will I get this products over here. So for that I need to do something like products and categories, and I can now access those products and categories over here. But what I will do is I will actually console.log those products and categories. Now why I am console logging these products and categories, you will understand once I show it, and I will show it next. So inside the test.jsx, what I will do right now is I will uncomment this, and what we are already getting these products and categories over here. So I will write a test, but before writing test, the necessary step is to render our component. So for that I will render our home component. But here comes the problem. So what is the problem? The problem is we can render products after we pass it as props. So how can we pass it here as props? Now you might think that we can do exactly these same things. We can copy all these same things here, and then we will pass those as props to this home component. But that is anti-pattern kind of, because while testing we don't need to, and we should not actually get original data and pass it as props, or we should not use original API responses, because sometimes it might happen that the API is not responding correctly, or there can be a problem, and when these problems arises, our test will fail. Now our motive of testing testing is when we pass some props over here as some products, then it should render those products, right? So if I pass here, so if I do something like pass here an empty array and a category is empty array, then what happens is the test will pass, there is no doubt in that, Now if we can pass here as we can pass here some mock data of our products, then also the test will pass. You can see that we are console logging some empty arrays. So if I pass here something like id1, then you can see that it will console log once again, and then we will have these two arrays over here console logging. So what I want to say is we can pass here some products, so we can mock the original response over here. Whatever response we are getting from commerce.products.list, we can mock those here and we can pass them as props. So that will help us in a lot of ways, such as we don't need to wait for our API to respond. We will pass the static data, so it will be instantly, we will see the results and our tests will pass instantly. And also just as I said earlier, that if our API response has some error in it, or if the server backend server of commerce have some problem, then we will be suffering, our test will fail. Our target is to test our component using the props we are passing. So here, how can we mock that products? So remember, here I console log those. I have already running this dev server, so I will go to my browser, and here I will open up my console or DevTools. So what I did was I reloaded this page, and you can see that I am already getting these products, and I'm getting all these products over here, and the categories as well. So you can check those and you can mimic a product. Like I will take the ID, the permalink, the price object, and the name, I guess, and then I will create an array of objects consisting of that. I will create that, and you will see what I have created. So you can use this as a reference to the mock data you will be creating, right? Now I have already created, inside this mocks directory, I have already created mock product.js, a file which exports two constant variables. One is an array and another one is an object. So these are mock products and mock product. So inside the mock products array, we will have, each object will have an ID, a name, a description, a price object, and available, and categories. Categories is also an array of objects. Now I used the original response which we console logged in index.js as a reference to create these mock products. And also note that I have also created a mock product over here. So here what I can do is I will actually delete those here, and here I will do mock products. So I will actually pass the mock products. I can do something like this, and it is passing, and it is also console logging the object we are passing here. That is our mock products array, it is passing. So now we need to write the actual test to see that all products are getting rendered, right? I will actually get a screen dot get by role. Actually it should be screen, and this get by role will be a list. I will give it a name of products. Now you might ask why I am giving a name of products when it will be a list. Now because I will also have another list which will render all the categories. So for that I need this, I need to give it a name. And now the test should fail, and it is failing because there is no list, right? Inside this index.js, the first thing I will delete this console.log over here, and I will actually create a list, and I will have an UL. Inside this UL I will actually map this products dot map, and say product, then I will return li tags, and inside these li tags I will have the product details such as name. Now I will also give this a key, that's it, and still the test will fail. Why? Because you can see that it is actually content info list item list with a name blank. There is no name of this list. So how to give it a name? The technique I will be using is aria-labelledby. Now this is a better approach because this will be accessible by screen readers. Here I will give all products heading. Now where is this all products heading? This heading of ID of all products heading. This UL, that is this list, will be now be named by this h2. Now the tests are failing severely. Why is that? That is because we inside this index.js we are actually mapping our products, but these two tests we are not passing any products at all. Then how will it map? That is why it is actually having some errors. So what I will do is I will either pass products over here and over here, and also I will pass categories, and let it be empty array for now. Now you can see that all three of them has passed, right? So I am actually getting the list, but I also want to do something else. I want to test that our home component is actually displaying all the products or the mock products that we are passing to the home component as props. So how to do that? I will use constant all products. This will be a better name, and then I will actually use constant get by role, which will be within. Now, within is something we need to import, and make sure that it imports, and then we will be using this all products. Now what we are doing here is get all by role and within. Both this means that when we use get all by role, we want to get all by role of say list item within that element, which is passed within brackets and not throughout the component. So for example, if we have two different lists for products and categories, then we want to get all list item inside the product list and not all list item throughout the component, which also includes list items from category list as well. So let's do that. We can store that as constant list items equal to, and then we will use get all by role list item. Now we don't need any name for that. We can just use list item. I will expect that list items dot length to be say 3, because we are passing in 3. So inside the mock products you can see that we have 3 array elements. So I expect that there will be 3 list items will be shown here, right? So now if I check, it will pass this. So let's see it in the browser now. So you can see here 1 2 3 4 5. Why 5? Because this is actually showing all the data from the server, commerce.js server, and not the mock data we are using. The mock data is only for the tests. Okay, so let's get back to VS Code, and I will minimize my terminal now. I will create this test of rendering all categories. So the initial step is to render our home component. While rendering we can pass products, which is the mock products, but for categories we need to pass mock categories as well. So we need to create that first. So I will go to this under _mocks directory, and I will create a file. Make sure it is in _mocks directory, and that is mock data. And inside this mock data we will not only have mock categories but also mock cart and mock order in the future videos. So I have pasted a mock categories, which is a array which exports 2 categories, and I have used the original response as a reference to create this. I will save it and go back to my index.js and here test.jsx, and here I will import it using mock categories. Make sure it is importing correctly. Now that being done, this step is pretty similar to render all products. So what I will do is now I will create a constant variable of all categories, which will get screen dot get by role. The screen will get by a role of a list item whose name will be categories. And make sure there are no spelling mistakes. Constant get all by role, which will be within. So I will get all by role within the all categories, and then I will get all the list items which are within these categories list. Then I will expect that these list items dot length will be 2. Now let's see why 2. Because here in the mock data we are having only 2 categories, right? So for that we expect that it should be 2. Now if I open my terminal, you can see that my test will fail eventually. So what I will do is I will go back to index, and here I will create the categories. Now here comes a question, where should I create the categories? Now if you see in this orange box is all products, and this blue box is our all categories. So the blue box is above the orange box, and below the pink box, which is the search box, I will create below the input and above the all products, right? So here I will create a UL or unordered lists, which will map all the categories, right? Dot map, and then each category will return a li tag, which will have a key of category dot id, category dot name. That's it. Now if I save it, let's see, and it seems to be failing. Now it is failing. Why? Because we don't have any list with the name of categories. Now here comes the question. So when we were creating these products, we already had an h2 and we used it as a name. Now should I create a h2 here as well to name it? But no. If you have seen the final demo which I showed in episode 1, you might know that we don't have any header with the name of categories over here. And I will use area label. There is a difference between area label and area labeled by. So let's clear the difference. So the difference is that area labeled by says that this UL is labeled by this H2. Okay, and what is the text content of this H2? That is all products. So this UL is labeled as all products, but it is labeled by this H2. And what does area label does? It just labels it. So it is labeled as categories. So this is just the label. We don't need any another external h2 like that. I save it, and now the test should pass. So you can see all the 4 tests has passed, right? Render all categories is passing. I will progress this category. Now remember I said each category will have a name which we are already displaying. Now one product of that category and a link which will have view all products of this category, right? So let's progress it. Instead of doing this, I will actually here as a h2 over here. So this inside this li, I will have actually an h2. So you can see the categories listed over here, and I will go back to my index.js, and what I will do is I will give this id and use tilde keys instead of the double inverted commas, and also use these curly braces over here. Now I will give it a name of category hyphen and then string interpolation. Watch this format carefully. So here I will give the category.name. And why am I giving this an id and this peculiar id? Why am I giving this? Because now I will create a UL. And why I am creating this UL? For showing the filtered products. And this UL will be area labeled by. So area labeled by, and what will be labeled by? It will be labeled by, and once again string interpolation. So the curly braces, then the tilde keys, then I will write the static part, then hyphen, and then I will use the string interpolation, and here it will be category.name, and then I will start mapping the filtered products. Now one question comes that inside our categories we have a number of products of that category, but not those products, right? So how to get that? So to get that, I will use these mock products. Now see, here we also have categories, and the product it does not belong to any category, will have an empty array, and the products which belong to a particular category will have that category inside this array. So we are already getting the products and categories both. So I will use products. I will map the products actually, right? But before mapping, I will actually filter it. So how will I filter it? I will product, get the product, and then inside this product Now for each product if you see here, each product has an array of categories as I said earlier. Dot find, so that means it will inside this categories array it will find something. So what will it find? So it will check that all the objects inside this categories array has the id. This id property is equal to the id of this category. So how to do that? So c.id triple equals to category.id, right? So what this does is products array is filtered, then it will return an array of all those products who has a category inside its categories array whose id matches with the current categories id. We will then map those product and return this same thing. We can return this exact same thing. So let me copy and paste it here. So I actually had curly braces over here, so I removed those curly braces, and now you can look what it looks like, exactly like this, and now it is working perfectly. I was saying all along this time that we will render only one product and then a link of view all products. Now here is actually a change in it. That is because for viewing all products, then I will have to create a category detail page, which at right now I am not interested in doing. Here I have some changes in my plan. That is, I will not be showing this view all over here, and I will be showing just products. Now let's check our terminal, and our test is failing. Why? Because it says that expected 2 but received 4. Which line? This line, list items dot length. But we are having only 2 categories, then how can it actually have 4 list items? Wait a second, here we have one list item, and inside that list item we have 2 list item, and then we also have another list item, right? And that is the problem. And also if you check that mock products, we have two of them has categories, and the categories are there too. So when we are actually rendering the test over here, we are passing the mock categories and mock products. So for each category we have only one products over here, you can see that. So that is what adding up to 4. So these li tags, that is we are adding for filtered products, that those are also adding up. So how to differentiate between those li tags and only these li tags? So what I can do is I can use something like aria-label, and then I will give it a name of category. So aria-label category will help us in distinguishing the list items. So I will go inside my tests, and here I will actually create something like name, and name will be category, and that's it. Now the test should pass, and it is passing, as you can see. And let me show you the browser once again, and it looks like this here as well. So no changes, no effects, right? Now we will go to the next test, which is render one product per category. Now as I said earlier, we have changed our plan, but for the sake of this tutorial I will render one product per category to help you understand how to test that one as well. I will render home once again. I will get category list, which will be screen.getByRole, a list. But which list? I have to give it a name as well. Now the name I will give it is, let me go back to index.js to show you. Now remember, I have created a h2 here header which has the categories name and then a list of categories. So when I say that I want to render only one product per category, that means that one product can be rendered inside this unordered list. So we need to get the unordered list first and then test the number of list items it is showing. So how to get this unordered list item? This is labeled by this category.name. And what are the categories I am passing? I am passing keyboard and mouse. So I will test it for mouse, or I can pass for keyboard. Here I will give it a name of mouse and then or I can do it from here and this same line. I will copy paste those lines. So what is that? It does, it's get by all by rows within our category list. And then the list items will be all list items inside this category list. And I expect that those its length to be 1. That I will give it a slice 0, 1. What that does is, let me explain it once again. We will filter the products based on which products has that same category, return an array, and then we will slice that array from 0th position to the first position. So that means only one element will be shown, right? And then we will map that. So if I open up my terminal now, and you can see that it is passing. But since, as I said, I have a change in plan, so I will not be having this test. I can comment out the test so that you can find it in the final code. So what I will do is, it shows search results when search item is not empty. It should be search term instead. Search term is not empty. So we will begin with the initial state of rendering home. With products will be mock products and categories will be mock categories. Then we will start writing our test. I will get our input. The input we are entering over here, this input we will get by placeholder text. So I will copy this and search box equal to screen dot get by placeholder text. Why I am doing this by placeholder text? Because I already showed you here that we can get by role of search box. But here I wanted to show you the different way, that is to get by placeholder text as well. We will do something like mimic user input over here, that the user is actually inputting something. So actually, for when a user inputs something, he does it by typing. So we will do mimic something like user types. So how to do that? For that we need to import a function actually, that is user event from testing library user event. Now if you have followed my previous episode, then you have already installed it. Otherwise you can manually install it as well. So then we will be using user event dot type. This will mimic the typing events. So where we will type. So first thing is, you can hover over here and see the type element and then the string. So where we will he type? He will type in the search box. And what will he type? He will type something like gaming mouse. Now why I am giving this name a gaming mouse? Because if you go to mock products, you can see there is already a gaming mouse. So that is why I am giving it a gaming mouse. Okay. So our user is now typing. So what will our user see? What do we desire that our user should see? We desire that our user should now see. Now first thing, the user should not see our products. So he will only see the search results and not the products list. When he types something inside the search box, then our search term is not empty anymore. So then we don't want our user to see all products and all categories. Instead, we want to see make our users see just our search results. So how to do that? So the first thing I will do here is, I will actually do something like constant search results, which will be a get by role list. This list will have a name of search results. We want that to be visible. Now why I am using this to be visible, you will understand when I write the code, and then I will show you later in this video why we are using this dot to be visible. We will actually, I will just copy this line, and instead of name search results, we will do is a products, and here also it should be all products. Here also it should be all products. Now instead of dot to be visible, I want it to be dot not to be visible. So this should not be visible and this should be visible. How to do that? The first thing is, I will actually create a state here. So what I will do is constant, inside the third brackets I will use search term comma set search term, which will leverage use state. This state is auto imported, and here we will use an empty string. And I will set here the value to be search term and an on change event here. So what will it do is, we'll get the event and then set search term, so we event dot target dot value. So here I will do something like I will actually conditionally render. So what conditionally render? I will check that search term dot length is greater than 0. That means it is not an empty string anymore. Then I will render something. Otherwise I will render these lists. So to render these lists, I need to wrap them inside React fragments, and here also I will do some React fragments. And inside these React fragments, what will I do? I will copy this categories list and all products list. So here I will do this and I will save it. And here what I will do right now is, just to show you, is I will actually render an email, and it's, I'll do something like H2 will be better, and I will give it a name of search results. Now let's see it in the browser. You can see all the products and the categories are being shown, but as I press something, it will not show. It will just show the search results. I will go back to VS Code once again, and here I will do some changes, like aria-labelledby will be search results heading, and I will give it an ID of search results heading, this same ID. I'll give it a ID, and that's it. Now it will look better. And now inside this I will actually create the search. Now one more thing, that is, I guess my test should now pass. I expect it to pass because we are showing an unordered list. Maybe the list is empty, but we're showing a list, right? Still the test is failing, as there is no. So why it is failing? So that is because we cannot get by role an element which is already removed. So you can see that here HTML, there is no UL with the name of products. Unable to find an accessible name with the role of list and name products. Why? Because we are already removing it. So how to test that? Now here is the article or documentation of the testing library. This documentation says getby should be used when we know that we will be returning a matching node for a query, and it will throw a descriptive error if no elements is matching. Now we don't want it to throw our error, we want our test to pass, and for that we will be using queryby, which says that this is useful for asserting an element that is not present. So our case, our element is not present, this get all products is not present. So to assert it, we will use, instead of get by role, we will use query by role. And now the test should pass, and it is once again failing because the element is null, so there is no chance of it to be visible at all. So for that we will use is something like to be null. That's it. Now our test should pass clearly. So you can see that our tests are passing clearly. Now I will minimize my terminal, and here inside this curly braces map our products, and I want only the search results to show only the products and not about those categories and all. So it should be products dot filter, once again using filter and product, and then don't use curly braces here. Okay, so use product dot name dot to lowercase, so that we are actually converting our name, the product's name, to lowercase, and then we will check that does it include the search term, which is also converted to lowercase. We will check for each product, we will check whose name when converted to lowercase also includes the search term which is converted to lowercase. So after that we will do something like dot map, and then we will map that data, and it will return. What will I return? I will return the same thing, product ID and product name. Ctrl C and Ctrl V here. That's it. Now I'm explaining it once again. We will filter the products based on whose name actually includes the search term. let's see it actually in action, and then I will explain why we are using includes instead of triple equal to, right? So if I write something like gaming mouse, then we are seeing it. Now why I am not using triple equals to? If I use triple equals to, if I write, suppose I write mouse, it is showing two results. That is because we are using includes. If I would have written triple equals to, let me show you actually. If I write triple equals to instead of includes, triple equals to, and dot includes is removed from here, and I will also remove this parenthesis over here. Then if I write mouse, it is showing no such result. If I write keyboard, then it will show only one result. But if I write RGB and I remove it, then it is showing nothing. But in a real world application, we always see that if I write something that results are also includes the other results, which does not match exactly. So for that, we will be using this includes. Now you know why we are using this includes, right? So let me see here. Then you can see this RGB keyboard is being shown. If I write something like mouse, then you can see that all two mouses are shown over here. If I even write MO, then a monitor will be also be shown. So our search result is working absolutely perfect here. So our tests are also passing, I guess. Yes. Now here one more thing that we can do here is actually check that is it actually showing the search results. So for that I have to check in my mouse products. I am having two elements with MO and MO over here, right? So I will, instead of writing gaming mouse over here, I will do something like MO. Okay. And now what I am going to check is, I am going to check that the list items visible by the search result should be 2. If I write search term MO, then 2 elements product's name actually includes this MO, this one and this one monitor. So this is the same, similarly like we were testing the render categories and we were expecting that it should render 2 list items, 2 categories. It's like that. We are expecting here that it should render 2 search results. So what I will do here, once again I will use constant, and inside this curly braces I will use get all by role, use within whose search results, within search results and not search box. It should be search results, list items which will be get all by role of list item, and then what I will expect list items dot length what 2. Let's now check our tests, and our test should pass, and our test is passing correctly. So we are completely done here. Okay, and in the next video, I will be creating a cart detail page, and I will create the cart system of our project. So final look of what we have built till now: a search box, a keyboard, then mouse, this category based listing, and all products. And one more thing, that is here in index.js, I am actually slicing them, but we don't need to slice them. So I am removing that one. Let's save it, and you can see here that now it will leave it, and it's showing all the categories based listing of products, and then all products are showing, and the search box works perfectly. So if I write keyboard a key, then it will show 2 keyboards. If I write M, then it will show 2. So it's working perfectly. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching this video, and to all my subscribers, thanks for supporting. See you in the next episode.